So, you think Akainu can finish One Piece in a year, don't you? Well, fret not. This video was made just for you. Akainu, in my opinion, is hands down one of the top 10, maybe top 5 strongest characters in One Piece currently. Now, the reason behind this video is due to my recent video where I ranked the current top 30 strongest characters in One Piece. If you haven't watched that video, then I recommend you do. Another reason would be because of an infamous statement that Goda himself said. You've heard it, I've heard it. If you're really about this One Piece life and been in the trenches, then you know that Oda stated that if Akainu was the protagonist, One Piece would be done in over a year. Take it how you want to, but that's what Goda said himself. And with the current state of One Piece, I have to ask, can Akainu still end One Piece in a year with the current power scaling? Now, anime fans, I'll try my best to not go into so much depth on manga spoilers. Now, before I give my answer, let's dive into a deep analysis of the Red Dog himself and his Devil Fruit. Akainu is a Logia Devil Fruit user that possesses the Magma Fruit, which allows him to create, control, and transform into magma at will, thus making him a magma human. Magma is an extremely hot liquid and semi-liquid rock located under Earth's surface, not to be confused with lava, which is molten rock that breaks through the Earth's surface. To put it in Naruto terms, lava would be the Amaterasu, and magma would be considered the Great Fire Annihilation. The strengths that this Devil Fruit possesses, besides burning at extreme temperatures, is like most Devil Fruits, or most Logia Devil Fruits, no one will be able to physically harm you unless they have armament haki. But that also depends on how strong your haki is compared to theirs. All bullets, sword attacks, and punches or kicks will phase through the body, which is not good when dealing with someone like Akainu, because he's basically covered in magma and you'll have the worst experience of your life. Even when you compare him to your standard Logia Devil Fruit user, he still ranks superior to them when it comes to strength and being overpowered, excluding Marco, Aokiji, and Magellan. Out of all the Devil Fruits, the Magma Fruit is ranked one of the highest when it comes to offensive power. Considering how easily he dominated Ace, and despite them having similar Devil Fruits, Akainu's magma burns hotter than Ace's fire, which also allowed him to take on the likes of Marco Phoenix, Ivankov, and many others in Marineford with minimum effort. Akainu has incredible durability with his Devil Fruit, considering that he was able to battle Aokiji for 10 days straight without getting tired. He also demonstrated a somewhat resistance to haki-based attacks, seeing as no one was able to damage him except for Whitebeard, but Whitebeard is built different, so he could pretty much touch anyone. As far as weaknesses goes, despite the typical Devil Fruit weaknesses like water, Sea Prism, and armament haki, there really aren't any that we have seen so far in the story. But I would like to point out that despite having an unstoppable Devil Fruit, there have been times where his magma wasn't able to penetrate its target. He wasn't able to penetrate Marco's fire, Vista's swords, Shanks' saber, and Whitebeard's Bacento. But they are just built different, and 3 out of 4 of these characters are considered GOATs. So when you're a GOAT, you're different from the rest. Aokiji somewhat damaged him during their 10-day battle on Punk Hazard, but other than that, he's practically unstoppable. As for abilities, we've seen him display some pretty powerful moves, one being called the Great Eruption. This move allows Akainu to transform his right hand into a giant magma fist that can burn literally anything that comes in its path. It also can be propelled as a rocket and even explode if necessary. Spectators on the battlefield said this move displayed an apocalyptic atmosphere. Next is the Meteor Volcano. Like the Great Eruption, this move also summons a giant fist, but what separates this move from it is that it can summon multiple fire fists. You can compare it to Saitama's consecutive punches or any JoJo protagonist's Oda attack. But instead of getting it face to face, it's coming from the sky. Then we have the Hound Blaze, where Akainu summons a huge wave of magma shaped like a dog, hence the name. Whitebeard was the only one to receive this attack, but he deflected it with ease. And finally, we have the Hellhound. This is another move that allows Akainu to transform his fist into magma. But Akainu uses this move to lash out in a claw-like manner, while also making the move detonate on command. Similar to Dragon and Sabo's Dragon Claw attack, but this, in my honest opinion, is Akainu's most dangerous move because of what he did with it. This is the move that not only killed Ace, but also fatally wounded the strongest man in the world. In the manga, Akainu blew half of Whitebeard's face off, leaving half of his brain missing, and somehow he was still the most dangerous man on the battlefield. But in the anime, due to censorship, it was just half of his mustache that got blown off, and he got punched in the chest and his insides melted in. Now before moving on, I want to point out Akainu's greatest strength that makes him the unstoppable dog that he is today. His goal of absolute justice. When you hear those words, you should just translate them to shut up and get out of the way. For my basketball fans out there, it's just like Michael Jordan's give him the ball and get the F out of the way. Akainu's absolute justice is up there with Naruto's Talk no Jutsu, the power of friendship, and many other anime power-ups. When Akainu has a goal, nothing or no one can stop him from achieving it. We've seen this in Marineford when he killed Whitebeard, Ace, and those Marines that didn't want to fight. When Akainu tried to kill Luffy, no one could stop him. He stopped the lives of Marco, Jinbei, Crocodile, basically anyone. He's the reason for the big scar Luffy has on his chest, which you can symbolize as Akainu leaving a brand mark saying that Luffy belongs to him, or a remembrance of Luffy losing Ace by the hands of Akainu. His absolute justice was also the cause of the genocide of Robin's people and homeland, as he was the one that destroyed the ship that had all of the people on it, chalking it up as, if we're going to do this, then we better do it thoroughly. Akainu's absolute justice is so ridiculous that it's even found its way into a popular video game, World of Warcraft, which I found out about during my research of his absolute justice. So to sum things up, Akainu has one of the greatest and strongest willpowers in anime. It's practically up there with anime protagonists' willpower. So, with all this information on Akainu, I think it's time we go over to the pirate side and see what he'll be going up against. Now let's assume that everything that's happened in One Piece, pre and post time skip, has happened. Akainu killing Ace and Whitebeard, Doflamingo and Impel Down, Luffy beating Katakuri and being considered the next Yonko, the abolishment of the warlords, etc, etc. Now Akainu would have a lot on his hands dealing with these people, because we're not in the age of devil fruits anymore. Ever since post time skip, Oda has been heavily emphasizing that Haki is the main power source in One Piece. And if you want to be a real contender, you have to have a really high mastering of it. People like Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, Garp, and even the Pirate King himself, Goldie Roger, are perfect examples of that. Akainu would have to be dealing with the worst generation and all of their current crazy power-ups at the moment. He would be dealing with the Yonkos, the Revolutionary Army, Shanks, etc. Like, he has a lot on his hands to be dealing with. With that being said, could Akainu still finish One Piece in a year? I would say yes. From the East Blue Saga all the way to Punk Hazard, I would say mid difficulty. But from Dressrosa all the way to Wano, that is extreme difficulty. And I put a lot of emphasis on extreme. Luffy and most of the current members of the worst generation at their current state, that's a battle enough alone. Not to mention the Yonkos and their crews, plus Dragon and the Revolutionary Army. Every single fight will be a durability battle every time. But like I mentioned earlier, durability isn't a problem for him. I know Akainu is an unstoppable force with his Devil Fruit and his absolute justice no jutsu, but even the strongest characters would find this difficult. That's assuming if they ran a fair 1v1 and not just jump him completely like a normal person would. But we seen him in Marineford where everybody tried to jump him and it didn't work, so hey, maybe it won't work. But he somehow managed to survive an onslaught from Whitebeard as well, and he was the strongest man in the world, so we can't underestimate him. He is the strongest Marine and is currently the Fleet Admiral of the Marines. I say this all the time, but Luffy and everybody on Sabaody should be grateful that it was Kizaru that showed up instead of Akainu, because he would have ended every single pirate on that island and they all would have been wiped out instantly. Except for maybe X-Drake because of the whole sword operation, and maybe Rayleigh, but that depends on how far Oda would go with that battle. Despite the hate that Akainu gets, you can't deny his work ethic. He's a man that will go and get the job done no matter what. Even though Akainu hasn't been shown in the manga lately, so that we could, see his current strength, but fans already speculate that either him or Blackbeard are the final villains of the story. With how Wano is concluding, some people might change their minds about him, but all of that could be changed just from 1 or 2 panels of Akainu doing something and the whole narrative would change in an instant. But that's a story for another time. Thank you for watching the video. Leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you feel in the comments and if you believe Akainu can or cannot finish One Piece in a year, whether it be pre-time skip or post-time skip. Thank you, and I'll see you on the Grand Line.